What happens when a dad on TV and his son fight in real life? Fans were shocked when Mark Wahlberg and Tim Allen got into a fight. On Home Improvement, they got along great, but behind the scenes, things quickly turned bad. Why did they stop being friends? What was the simple choice that led to the fight that is still going on? We'll break down the drama from being on a reality show to a fight that changed everything. This story has a crazy ending. Let's begin right away. The rise of a TV family, Home Improvement went from being a hobby show to a huge hit all over the world. Even the biggest stars in Hollywood were envious of how well it did. Tim Allen had been working hard as a stand-up comedian for years, and Jonathan Taylor Thomas was just starting out as a child actor. Their lives were changed by Home Improvement, which became a nationwide hit and proved that the chemistry they had on screen was real. Fans loved this father-son TV relationship more than any other. It was the most watched and proved that family comedies were still the best. Jonathan quickly became a teen hero, and Tim Allen quickly became one of the highest paid TV stars. Tim Allen was chosen to play Tim the Toolman Taylor, the loving but clumsy host of a home repair show. Randy was played by Jonathan Taylor Thomas. He was Tim's middle son and was smart and sarcastic. Randy often had the best lines on the show. Before we can figure out why they fought so much, we need to look at how Home Improvement became a worldwide hit, known for being good, funny, and caring. It wasn't just that Home Improvement was popular at the time. It made the trends. When it first aired on ABC in 1991, Home Improvement quickly became one of the most watched shows on the network. Watch Tim Taylor's family life. He is the host of the Home Improvement show Tool Time. That was a simple idea for the show, and people all over the country got it. After shows like The Cosby Show and Family Ties became huge hits in the 1980s, family sitcoms were still getting used to life. Back then, a lot of shows told silly jokes or talked about current events, but Home Improvement did something different. Allen used physical comedy and grunting catchphrases, but the stories were also based on real family events and were surprisingly deep. The show became famous for having both fun and serious parts. They were trying to get somewhere, but it wasn't easy. In its early years, Home Improvement had to show that it wasn't just another boring family drama. It had to do this among shows that were already big hits. The show took off when it found its own voice, which was a mix of old-fashioned family values, new ideas, and Allen's unique brand of humor that is all about men. What made the show funny was that Tim Allen used to be a stand-up comedian. He was famous for a number about guys and tools that worked really well on TV because it made the character seem both real and silly. One person, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, looked older than he was because of how charming and well-timed he was. A lot of the time, he stole scenes from his more experienced co-stars to say sarcastic one-liners as Randy Taylor. Everyone on Home Improvement got along so well with each other that it felt real. Dennis Allen was too manly, but Patricia Richardson, who played Tim's wife Jill, was just the right amount of girly. Zachary Ty Bryan and Jonathan Taylor Thomas, the bigger Taylor boys, got along great with each other. The last member of the family was Taron Noah Smith, the youngest son. Not many shows worked well when their network schedules changed, but Home Improvement did pretty well. In the 1990s, a lot of comedies came and went, but this one kept its viewers and quality for a long time. Many people liked other shows more, like Friends and Seinfeld, but Home Improvement really spoke to average Americans in a way that not many other shows could. By the middle of the 1990s, it was clear that Home Improvement had a lot of fans. It was a big hit all over the world and was shown in more than 60 countries besides the US. Being able to adapt to what viewers wanted while staying true to itself made sure it would keep doing well. How a teen idol star got started. Jonathan Taylor Thomas was the star of Home Improvement and became a big star very quickly, which no one saw coming. Funny Tim Allen shows got people's attention, but it was JTT that kept young people watching week after week. His character Randy was funny, smart, and cute. He fit right in as the middle child and was often the emotional center of many shows. Jonathan Taylor Thomas wasn't just another kid actor, he was a marketing monster. Mags like Teen Beat, BOP, 16 Magazine, and Tiger Beat all had his picture on the cover. The actor had a lot of fans, both young and old. Many teenage girls in the 1990s liked him because he looked like a boy and was really good at what he did. I never really asked for any of this, Jonathan finally told Entertainment Weekly. I felt like doing something. He was born in Pennsylvania in 1981 as Jonathan Taylor Weiss, but early in his career he changed his name to his stage name. Before he joined Home Improvement, he was famous for playing young Simba in Disney's The Lion King, but it was his role as Randy Taylor that really made him famous. By 1994, he was getting more than 5,000 letters from fans every week. At first it looked like Tim Allen and Jonathan Taylor Thomas were the perfect pair. Allen taught the young actor a lot. Tim would often help Jonathan with the timing and delivery of his jokes behind the scenes. Tim is said to have told the group he was a natural talent. He was impressed by how quickly Jonathan could pick up on the subtleties of comedy. As Home Improvement kept doing well, Jonathan became a bigger star. During breaks from the show, he got parts in movies like Tom and Huck, Wild America, and I'll Be Home for Christmas. His schedule got busier as he tried to balance schoolwork, the TV show, and his new job as a movie actor. By the middle of the 1990s, Jonathan Taylor Thomas was said to be making $25,000 per episode of Home Improvement. This was a lot of money for a teenage actor, but it was still a lot less than Tim Allen's pay, which had grown to $200,000 per episode and would eventually hit $1.25 million later in the season. People who worked on Home Improvement said that the set was calm and that the actors got along well with each other. The cast would often get together for holidays and birthdays, making the events feel like family events that went beyond the cameras. Patricia Richardson played Tim's wife Jill, and she often said that the set was like a second home for the young actors. But as Jonathan's fame grew, small changes started to happen in the way things worked. When Home Improvement first started, Tim Allen was without a doubt the show's star. But by the mid-1990s, Jonathan was getting just as much, if not more, media attention. The young actor got offers for movie roles, magazine covers, and teen awards, while Tim kept working steadily on TV. This plan seemed to work for a while because the show had two big stars. Tim could focus on his comedy and direct some episodes, and Jonathan did well in movies while working on the show. Tension behind the As Home Improvement's later seasons went on, things changed behind the scenes. Jonathan Taylor Thomas was growing up and making plans for his future and job. He wasn't the child actress who joined the show when he was 10, and now that he was a teen, he had goals beyond weekly TV. For Jonathan, school had always been important. In an interview with Premiere Magazine, Jonathan said, "I've been working non-stop since I was 8 years old. Someone once said, education is something that no one can take away from you." At the same time, Tim Allen was making a lot of money with movies like The Santa Claus and Toy Story. He was determined to make the most of his time in the sun. These different ideas didn't cause problems right away, but they did set the stage for misunderstandings. Tim had worked hard for years to be successful, so he probably thought it was odd that Jonathan seemed ready to give up fame. Jonathan, on the other hand, wasn't just interested in fame. By the 7th season of Home Improvement, there were rumors that Jonathan was thinking about leaving the show. The production team was worried that Randy Taylor's leaving could hurt the ratings because he had become a fan favorite. Behind closed doors, talk about Jonathan's future on the show got more and more heated. Set sources say that Tim Allen tried to convince Jonathan to stay by telling him how stable and well-known the show was. Most actors would kill for this kind of chance. Tim is said to have told Jonathan during a conversation between sets. But Jonathan had other plans. He wanted to finish high school the right way and was thinking about applying to college. Things reached a peak in 1998 when Jonathan announced that he was quitting Home Improvement before its 8th and final season. He said it was so he could focus on his schoolwork. He had been accepted to Harvard and was looking forward to being a regular student there. At first, Tim Allen officially agreed with Jonathan's decision. In interviews, he praised the young actor's commitment to school and wished him luck, but behind closed doors, tensions were rising. Jonathan had left at the wrong time, so the show's last season would go on without one of its most popular characters, which could have changed how it ended. The producers worked hard to come up with a reason for Randy's absence, and in the end they came up with a story in which he went to Costa Rica to study the environment. This was an easy way out, so it made it possible for guest performances, even at the end of the series, but they never happened. The breaking point: Jonathan Taylor Thomas said he was leaving Home Improvement to go to school, but his actions in the months after he left made the cast and crew, especially Tim Allen, think twice. He said he would focus on school, but Jonathan was in a number of movies including I'll Be Home for Christmas and Speedway Junkie. This seemed to be a conflict, and Tim Allen didn't like it. In a 1999 interview with TV Guide, Allen slammed his former on-screen son in a way that shocked the entertainment industry. He said it was about going to school, but then he made some movies. He wanted to make movies, right? He said he didn't want to go to school. It seems like he didn't like it when I told him I was confused. Allen was angry and hurt because he thought Jonathan wasn't telling the truth about why he was leaving the show. If he had time to make movies, why couldn't he have come back to Home Improvement every once in a while, especially for the last season? From Jonathan's point of view, things were more complicated. He had made a few movies, but they were projects he had promised to do before he focused on school. More importantly, film schedules let students work hard for short periods of time and then take long breaks, while TV show schedules required weekly commitments. People outside of the show didn't know that their last argument on set was the last straw in their argument. Someone who worked as an assistant producer and heard the conversation says that Jonathan finally said F*****KU with growing anger when Tim said he was leaving the show that made him famous. Everyone there was shocked by the reaction because it was so out of character for the young star. Their relationship really fell apart at this point, and they had a heated argument that would take years to get over. The biggest blow to the public came when Jonathan said he wouldn't be in the last episode of Home Improvement. This seemed to support Tim's belief that Jonathan's decision to leave wasn't just for school reasons, but also to get away from the show that made him famous. In May 1999, the series finale aired without Jonathan's character Randy, which many fans saw as a hole in the Taylor family's farewell. Behind the scenes, things between Tim and Jonathan had gone badly. What used to be a mentor-mentee relationship had turned into anger and sadness between both parties. Cast members were split down the middle. Some agreed with Tim's point of view, while others understood Jonathan's need for freedom and education. Patricia Richardson, who played Jill Taylor, later said, "It's always hard when family dynamics change, whether it's a real family or a TV family. Everyone has different needs and goals, and they don't always line up perfectly." The public fight was written about in tabloids with titles like TV Dad and Son at War and Tim Allen Wipes the Floor with Jonathan in War of Words. Some people thought that Jonathan's silence about Tim's criticism was a sign of a rift, while others thought it was an adult attempt to keep things from getting worse. Either way, the fact that he wasn't seen in Hollywood for many years afterward said a lot. Going their separate ways, after Home Improvement, Tim Allen and Jonathan Taylor Thomas went in very different directions. Tim used the success of his sitcom to get lead roles in movies like Galaxy Quest and the sequels to The Santa Claus. He finally came back to TV with another hit comedy in 2011 called Last Man Standing. As promised, Jonathan focused on school. He first went to Harvard University to study philosophy and history, and then he transferred to Columbia University. Jonathan didn't make a big deal out of trying to become an adult like many of his peers did. He avoided the problems and public meltdowns that many of his peers had. Seeing such a big difference in job paths only showed how different the minds of the mentor and mentee were. Tim Allen kept building his reputation as an artist and stayed in the public eye. Jonathan Taylor Thomas faded from Hollywood and only showed up in a few small parts or voice roles here and there. People who work in the entertainment business thought that Jonathan's breakup with Tim Allen might have made him decide not to keep playing. Had his ex-TV father's public criticism turned him off to the entertainment business, or did it just make him want a normal life away from fame even more? They hadn't talked to each other in public for almost 10 years. When Jonathan did talk about himself, he would avoid talking about Tim Allen or Home Improvement by talking about his studies and hobbies. Tim, on the other hand, would sometimes make comments that many people thought were meant to make fun of artists who don't take the chances they're given. "Where are they now?" was sometimes written about in the entertainment press. It's always interesting to see how different Tim's continued success is from Jonathan's choice to stay out of sight. Their story was often used as an example of how short-lived fame and Hollywood relationships can be in these pieces. At the same time, other actors from Home Improvement would sometimes join in. Zachary Ty Bryan, who played the middle brother Brad Taylor, once said, "It's complicated. They are both great people, but they had different ideas. I don't talk to both of them at the same time." A lot of people already thought this. The split had made people, even former cast members, dislike each other. Fans and people who work in the business were shocked by what happened next, which happened after 15 years of silence. Back in 2013, it was said that Jonathan Taylor Thomas would be a guest star on Tim Allen's new show, Last Man Standing. People in show business were shocked. Had the ex-TV dad finally broken down the wall between him and his son? A lot of well-thought-out meetings led up to the get-together. According to people who work in production, the executives of Last Man Standing had talked about having Jonathan as a guest star because they thought it would be good for the show's reputation. Tim's quick answer caught them off guard. Tim Allen's thoughts on the matter had changed over time. Tim said in a happy dad voice, "I love that kid. He's always been great," when asked if he would work with Jonathan again. It sounded like Tim had thought about their fight and was ready to move on after this big change in tone. Jonathan, for his part, showed the meeting the respect that professionals expect. Because he was interested in how TV shows are made behind the scenes, he agreed to be in the episode and follow the director around. Jonathan had grown up, and the cast of Last Man Standing liked that. He also looked like he was ready to go back to his TV roots. It was weird for them on their first day back on set together, but they quickly got along. Someone who helped with the production said they heard Tim tell Jonathan, "It's good to have you back, kid." The two of them laughed together for the first time in years. As soon as they got back to work, the stress that had been in their relationship for a long time seemed to go away. There were a lot of people who watched and liked the show with Jonathan. Fans were thrilled to see the ex-Home Improvement stars back together, and the meeting was said to have ended a long-running Hollywood feud. Happy chatter was heard between takes between Tim and Jonathan behind the scenes. This was very different from the years when they rarely talked to each other. Icy silence. Jonathan went back to Last Man Standing for a few more shows after his first one. He was even in charge of one, which made it look like the reunion was real and not just a hoax. Tim Allen said nice things about Jonathan's skills and maturity when he was promoting these shows. He was always great as an actor. After that, Jonathan went to college and became interested in other things. He's very smart. This newfound respect for each other seemed to end a painful chapter for both actors. They would never be as close as they were in the early years of Home Improvement, but they had found a way to honor their past and move on with love and professionalism. The end. This story is about more than just the drama between these two stars. In it there are themes of fame, loyalty, and how entertainment has changed over the years. Before streaming services and social media changed the way we watch TV shows, Home Improvement shows a time when family sitcoms were at their best. Allen and Thomas show how hard it is to deal with how things have changed in their own ways. There's a lot more to Home Improvement than how well it did in the ratings. When the show first started, network TV was at its peak. A hit comedy could get 20 million or more viewers every week and steer public debate. A long time ago, Tim Allen and Jonathan Taylor Thomas were big names in entertainment. These days things are very different. They didn't get into any fights or posts on Instagram that would have changed how people saw them. Instead, there were well-thought-out interviews and press releases. It's important to remember this time because it changed how their fight went. For sure, both guys would have told their fans their sides of the story by now, thanks to how social media works. In real time, the story would have changed as fans split into Team Tim and Team JTT. Instead, they mostly kept their disagreements to themselves, which led to rumors and false beliefs that spread for years. The show itself came to an end. Home Improvement ended around the same time that TV began to split up into smaller groups. In a few years, reality TV would have changed everything, and the most watched show would no longer be the standard multi-camera family comedy. The last episode of the show aired in 1999, the same year that HBO's The Sopranos began. This was the start of the rise of highbrow TV, which would change what people thought they would see even more.